Good morning and welcome to Real Talk with Tamara. As you guys come into the room, please hit the like button. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I hope that you guys are doing okay on this morning. I know that I am. I always express the importance of hitting the like button because the like button helps to keep the video in the algorithm. So, like, share, subscribe, comment, all of those good things of the things. Okay. If you would like to support the channel, you can support the channel via Cash App, okay? I wanted to talk about a story that I have quietly watched for many, many years, okay? I have quietly watched this for years because I guess I knew this would always it had a lot of karma attached to it, okay? Which is why I've always watched, okay? And it involves Steve Harvey and Marjorie Harvey, okay? And Marjorie Harvey, as you guys know, was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and she's been attached to some drug kingpins, child. And I kind of got, I kind of have been looking at the story because her ex-husband wrote a book, Jimmy Townsend, and is out of jail and um, everything, and he kind of been speaking about his marriage to Marjorie before she was married to Steve. And a lot of people said that when Marjorie, when Jimmy went to jail, she married his cousin. Now, Jimmy says that it's not true. That she was not his cousin. That he was not his cousin, her second husband. But everybody around Memphis swears that it is true. That he is his first cousin, and he was another kingpin. Jimmy says that it's not, but people say around Memphis that Jimmy is really trying to spare Marjorie some. He's trying to spare her reputation some because he does have children with Marjorie, okay? And Lori is not. Y'all know the infamous Lori Harvey. Lori is not Jimmy's daughter. She is the daughter of Marjorie's second husband, who she got with after Jimmy was sentenced to, he was supposed to do life. He ended up doing 26 years, and then Obama pardoned him, right? And so, one of the reasons that I had watched Steve Harvey, this situation, is because I was very interested in the story, what happened with Steve Harvey's second wife, which was Mary. Mary wrote a book. They drugged Mary. They did Mary wrong. Steve Harvey had one son with her, and Marjorie and Steve. Steve actually cheated on Mary with Marjorie, and they ended up divorcing. And then Steve and Marjorie actually took their son, right, their young son, which caused Mary to have a lot of mental issues with the way that he did her. Like she basically got nothing in the divorce. Okay, even though she was with him and helped him to build his career, right? Um, and then he took her to court and got her son. I was reading that one of the reasons that he was able, first of all, they had the money and Mary didn't. And they said that what happened was Marjorie ended up working behind the scenes with a family member that she has as an attorney to really just to beat Mary in court. She actually convinced Steve to get custody of his son, right? Which was very heartbreaking. I was looking at Mary when she was promoting her book, talking about how her young son at the time, how devastated he was, and he did not, he was old enough to understand, and it was devastating to him to have to leave her and go and be with Steve. But that was a power move that Marjorie actually convinced Steve to make. Of course, they had the unlimited funds to get the attorneys to paint Mary as this bad mother, right? Um, and it's sad. So, Steve Harvey had a lot of bad stories, but a lot of cutthroat stories. about him in Hollywood. And one of them that I remember is with Bernie Mac. And Bernie Mac was one of my favorite comedians. Bernie Mac, D.L. Hughley. Back in the day, D.L. Hughley was definitely one of my favorite. He was so goofy. But definitely Bernie Mac. Um, Steve Harvey was okay at one time. He wasn't one of my favorites, but he was tolerable. But they talked about how he backstabbed and cut Bernie Mac because of his jealousy. And I remember when Bernie Mac had died and they did a tribute to him. They had Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, and all of them. I could see Bernie Mac's wife really did not know how to fake with Steve. She really did not know how to fake with him. Okay. You could tell that there was tension, that he was just doing it for the cameras. But there had been a lot of stories of low down things that Steve had done when he started to make it big in Hollywood, right? And then when he took that meeting with Trump, right? The elites didn't like that. And they really started letting people put out bad publicity about him. You know, when you're in good with the elites, what they'll do is they will work with the media to make sure that there is no bad publicity out about you. Okay, they even took his show, and he had a mainstream show and some more stuff. You know, like I said, there have been a few people to speak about how low down Steve was, to include his ex-wife Mary, the way that he did her, and she helped him while he was, supporting him while he was building his career and was with him from the start. Was just sad. And so Marjorie enters. Okay, Marjorie had been known. People that knew Marjorie around the Memphis area that knew her back in the day said she was always attracted to drug kingpins since she was in college. All she ever did was date drug dealers with money, right? And so Steve Harvey meets her when he came to Memphis years ago to um to a comedy show, okay? And they ended up meeting, and he claimed that he met her, and she says that they talked for a few weeks and he disappeared. But the truth of the matter is she was basically his mistress. I'm hearing for about 20 years. And she ultimately is the reason that although he was cheating with other people, that he and his wife had divorced, right? And so people was just waiting because everybody around the Memphis area that knew Marjorie back in the day knew what she was about, and they was just waiting for her to get Steve, right? I don't know if she got some of that good juju, what they say, that good voodoo. Okay, what kind of root she had on him. But everybody, there have been stories about Marjorie. She was actually a drug queen pin, okay? Um, she loved drug dealers. She loved men with money, and she hit the jackpot with Steve. She hung around for 20 years, okay, until she was get somebody. Until she got somebody to get her a real good root, and hey, she finally hooked him, right? She finally did. He had been dating her for 20 years. I get to thinking about when people say, well, she hooked him with that sex. Well, he had been seeing her for 20 years. So what she did was she messed around and got a good root, okay? Because he had been hitting that for 20 years. He had not hooked him, okay? I guess it was enough to keep him going back, but she got somebody to mix up a good juju on him, okay? And so now she's been accused of cheating with Steve's bodyguard, okay? And hey, Big Boom, that's his name. Um, and hey, for some reason Steve is denying it, but for some reason I think there's some merit to it. I'm hearing allegedly Big Boom has written a tell-all, and he is admitting to it. He is admitting to it. But Steve had a social media person that he fired, and the reason that he said that he fired the social media person is because he says that the social media person allowed the rumor to get out of control, and it was negative and all of that. And I think that's weird, because a social media person, I told you that y'all, they have people on the social, they hire people for that. But I mean, I don't know how you can ever really defeat the internet. I don't know what kind of powers a social media person that's in what celebrities have, um, that he feels like that they can control the negativity as it relates to stories being put out. That's undefeatable, right? That's going up against the masses. And usually when their mind is made up, but I don't know what it is that they can put out that he felt like that they use that we don't know about, that his social media influencer, his social media PR person would have been able to stop the negativity, right? And so Tasha K had been kind of putting this stuff into the atmosphere for months because she had been getting people she had been getting some tips from somebody, and people just kind of brushed it off and things of that nature. But I don't know, for some reason I knew that this was coming. Hey, if you talk to some of the older people that is around Marjorie's age, that knew Marjorie when she was on the scene, out on the club scene, when she was hanging with the big, the drug dealers and stuff, they said she was just as bad. And I was, Jimmy Townsend has written a book, and I was looking at one of his interviews, and he was talking about how when he went up under investigation, okay, because he was one of the biggest kingpins in Memphis at that time. And he went up under investigation. And when the feds started quietly investigating him and Marjorie. And Marjorie got pregnant with their second child. She has two kids with him. And he says that when he found out that his wife, Marjorie, at the time, who was pregnant with their second child, was being investigated by the feds, and he said they was determined to get her because she was in knee deep too, as it relates. She loved that money that he was getting, and so she got involved. Okay, he said she knew how to flip stuff. She knew how to flip it. And what ended up happening was I come from the old school situation too. When I try to compare Straight Drop and his brother's situation, I be thinking about old school situations like this right here around the type of people I grew up around when stuff like this happened. What he said he did was because the feds was determined, he found out they had Marjorie and had been watching Marjorie and had her up on the investigation. He got on the stand and told on himself and signed paperwork and asked them to leave her alone, right? Because that was his wife that he loved, and she was pregnant with their second child. He said he later kind of regretted that because, you know, um, what she did was, um, she ended up marrying another man about a year later, right? He said she took she ended up getting all his property. She took his money and started flipping it, and she took everything. She got some apartment buildings and some more stuff. And then she married the second man who everybody around Memphis says is his first cousin. I think he's trying to spare her. He claims he does not know that he's not close to the guy. But he ended up speaking to him and thanking him for taking Marjorie, marrying, for taking care of his children. I do believe that it's his cousin because everybody around Memphis says it. I think he's trying to spare her because if you listen to some of his interviews, you can tell he does not want to really drag her too much because he's close to his children with Marjorie, and I think that's the reason why he kind of spares her. But Lori is not his. Lori is his child. Is the child of the second husband, who they're saying is the first cousin. Okay, I know people that know Marjorie, that hung out with Marjorie. I worked with a lady at the sheriff's office that is very close friends with Marjorie. That says that Marjorie had married, that the second guy that she married was Jimmy's first cousin. And if you listen to some of the interviewers, they talk about how Jimmy kind of tries to spare Marjorie, and he's very close to his grandchildren. He and Marjorie's grandchildren. So I think he wants to really spare. He tells enough, but I think he tries to spare her some too, right? And so everybody saw this coming except for Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey has backstabbed people, I hear, and did people wrong, and drove his first wife to the mental institution because he took their son away because Marjorie wanted him to make a power move on her to show her that she was running it, and look at what has happened. They're saying that allegedly Marjorie has been having an affair with his bodyguard, Big Boom. Okay, and I'm gonna just show y'all a little bit of Big Boom. I'm gonna just show y'all a little bit of this, okay? Just a little. Okay, this is Big Boom. Okay, this is the bodyguard for the heart. Big Boom is a former pimp. He big too. Look at him.
Dr. Slim. But I'll be the doctor till the doctor comes. See, I didn't know how to read and write. Guess what? I just wrote my third book. I spent half my life breaking women's hearts, and I have the key to women keeping their heart attached. I was a womanizer, now I'm a woman advisor.
He said he was a womanizer, now he is a woman advisor, okay? And it seems to me that he has been, I guess, advising Marjorie, okay? But they said Steve has been denying the rumors, okay? But they said they're saying publicly to save face, but they're talking about divorce secretly, and they said Marjorie won't half of that 400. Okay, they said Marjorie won't half of that 400 million. I remember Steve Harvey used to brag about how his wife Marjorie had a $15,000 a day spending habit, and he bragged about how he was happy to be able to afford that lifestyle. $15,000 a day, but you leave your ex-wife who helped you to build your career with nothing, and brag about a woman who always dated men with money, okay, a drug kingpins, okay, brag about having a $15,000 habit a day, okay. One thing for sure, when she finishes with him, and I'm sure because she's got years of this, okay, she gonna whoop his ass raggedy, okay. I'm sure she knows all the secrets. He has trusted her, like he said, with his dear life. So I'm sure she knows all the secrets. She's his wife. She's been with him a long time. She do. And I'm sure she's been putting them all in her back pocket, because that's what people do when they're building cases. They learn stuff, they quiet, and they put it in their back pocket, right? And they're saying that she wants half of that 400 million. I do believe that this has a lot of merit. I knew that this would happen simply because all of the people, especially all of the old heads that was out in the street, that were the drug dealers and things of that nature back in the day, is familiar with Marjorie, and they knew how she got down. Okay. They knew exactly how she got down, and she hit the jackpot. Okay. When she finally hooked Steve. Okay, when she finally went to the right juju doctor and hooked him, got the right roots. Okay, because she had been his mistress for 20 years, right? So this is going to be interesting. Steve is trying so hard to save face because he painted Marjorie, I think because, people knew how she was. Her history was out. He always tried to paint her as this perfect person, but everybody would laugh and say, who he trying to convince himself? Because, and I'm not saying people can't change, but I mean, I look at how Marjorie trained her daughter. She has trained Lori. Lori is an industry whore and gold digger, right? That's exactly what she is. She's trained her on how to get men with money. Lori has been linked to everybody, Puffy, everybody. Okay. But this is how her mother has trained her, and still Steve did not see this coming. Steve didn't. I mean, he sees how the wife has trained Lori, okay, and he still didn't see it coming with himself. And the thing about it is, Marjorie is so smooth. She has Steve to adopt all of her children and change their name to his last name. And she did that because Lori and them were underage, I believe, when she married Steve. Okay. And she did that just in case, I believe, it didn't work out, because they were teenagers, just in case it didn't work out. And she could have got child support. I mean, hey, but she been doing this. She been doing this. And I think all of that bad karma that Steve has put into the atmosphere as it relates to his ex-wives, as it relates to other people that he has done wrong. Hey, the chickens are coming home to roost. Okay. So this story is very interesting to me. I promise you, I'm so here for it. I am watching it like a hawk. I believe it. Look at Big Boom. He big and tall, and He used to be a pimp. And here's the thing too. Word on the street is Marjorie had been knowing Big Boom, who is an ex-pimp. Okay. Now this is word on the street. Marjorie knew him, and he was very vocal, okay, and making and keeping Steve and Marjorie's connection going for so many years. Okay. He was very vocal in that connection. So if they screwing now, they probably had been screwing if he was a pimp and she loved men, that's the scene that she loved. He probably put Marjorie on Steve. Okay. He had his ear. Him and Marjorie already had a plan, and now she get ready to get the 200. She trying to get 200 million of that 400 million, and her and Big Boom probably gonna ride off into the sunset. They had been setting them up from the very beginning. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. One thing for sure, you sure got to read what you saw. And that man has done a lot of things to a lot of people. I bet you his ex-wife who helped him to build, his second wife who helped him to build, okay, when he had nothing, okay, helped him to build his career, who he left with no money and took their son, so that because Marjorie didn't want any money going out of the house, and she wanted to prove who Marjorie was his mistress the whole time. She wanted to prove to her, now I got him, and now I got the power. I done took your husband. Now I'm getting ready to take your son. And Steve let her do it and sent that lady to the mental institution. Now it's his time to pay. He'll more than likely end up in the mental institution, because it may be that Big Boom and Marjorie had been playing him the whole time. They had a plan, and she get ready to get half. Okay. Okay. So, Steve was so in love with Marjorie, I don't even think he made her sign a prenup. If that ain't the damnedest fool, a known gold digger. Okay. That's the reason why I say she got her somebody with a good root. Whoever she went to had mixed up they put a real good, strong root on him. Okay. But like, hey, they said, no, everybody's seen it coming but Steve. Okay. I guess he thought his money, because he had more money. Jimmy Townsend had a whole lot of money coming in. But as soon as he went to jail, as soon as she played victim and was able to get her husband to go ahead and plead and tell on himself and make a deal with the feds, so that she wouldn't have to go to jail, she went and married his first cousin, because I do believe it's his first cousin. They said Jimmy trying to spare her because of his kids with her. Okay, everybody around Memphis knew him. That says it's his first cousin, because they were both drug kingpins. She left one and went and married the other one. Okay, a year after he was in jail. Okay, and who's to say she didn't put the feds on Jimmy because she was ready to marry his cousin? Okay, just like her and Big Boom done did Steve. It looks like. Okay, because Big Boom is a known. He said he was a pimp for years before he became a bodyguard. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. I'm definitely keeping my eyes on this. Okay. It is very interesting. Okay. But I want you guys to please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, you could definitely support the channel via Cash App. I love you guys. I'll speak with you later.